Grocery stores are an interesting animal. Many people hate to go there, but everyone has to be there at some point or another. Everyone from newborns to the elderly have to eat, and it is assured that at least one of our grandparents told us about the good old days when cabbage was 5 cents a head, and even most millennials can recall 10-cent candy bars that now cost $1.29. Some retail chains are trying to help us get back some of the good old days with cheaper prices on in-house and generic brands. The Discount Diva loves these chains. Mostly. Today's stop is Aldi, a German import with cheap prices, good quality, and an international flair. Let's take a look at 10 of the best-selling grocery store items in America and how Aldi brands stack up to the major players in the game. Coca-Cola has been around for over a century, and you certainly don't need me to tell you how it tastes. Personally, I'm a Pepsi girl, but Coke is definitely a classic for good reason. Rich, sweet with a bubbly kick. Of course, Coke is not going to give out its secret recipe, but it's basically a combination of sweeteners, carbonated water, citrus, vanilla, and spices including cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and bitter orange. Traditionally, generic cola will never live up to big-name brands, and Aldi's brand Summit Cola is no different. It is very bland and flat-tasting, which is probably the result of not knowing that proprietary blend that makes a good cola. Also, Summit has way more sugar and no sodium, which also affects the taste. Sorry, Aldi. My advice? I say stick to the real thing. While it may be surprising to learn that Simple Cheerios are the best-selling cereal brand in the United States, the truth is that its simplicity is probably the reason why. Cheerios are pretty much whole grain oats, corn, starch, sugar, and salt, with a few preservatives thrown in for good measure. It's simple, plain, and pure. In the end, that's the best thing to be. There are many brands of ODOs or whatever the generic equivalent is. Aldi's brand of cereal comes under the Millville name and is called Crispy Oats. The ingredients in Crispy Oats are exactly the same as in Cheerios, but the taste, not so much. I find the Millville to be dry and slightly stale tasting. Granted, Cheerios are not the most exciting breakfast staple, but the light crispy texture is always a winner. But in Crispy Oats, it just wasn't there. For sake of balance, I tried only the plain oats, although Millville offers other flavors as well. Aldi's brand are okay, but I wouldn't buy them again. The Cinnamon Crunch Squares, however, yes please. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a nostalgic favorite of mine, and when compared side by side, the difference is negligible. Cinnamony, crunchy, oaty, squarey? Wow, you won't be disappointed. Gotta love those crazy squares. Coming as a surprise to me is that frozen meals are one of the most popular grocery items in America. An even bigger surprise is that Stouffer's frozen lasagna is the #1 selling frozen entree. The surprise for me is not that lasagna is a top seller, but that frozen lasagna is. I'm not a huge fan of frozen lasagna, and I've never had one that tasted anything close to homemade. The bubbly sauce, the rich noodles, meaty ground beef, cool creamy ricotta cheese, smooth melty mozzarella. Frozen lasagna just can't compare. But obviously, since Stouffer's is America's #1 brand, it must have its fans. Aldi's line of frozen meals generally comes under the name Brimmer. Because of my commitment to giving you the tools to be a smarter consumer, I picked up both for a head-to-head taste test. I went in with low expectations but came out with a higher opinion of frozen lasagna. My experience, while not unpleasant, was odd. As you can see, directly out of the box, the Stouffer's looks very cheesy while the Brimmer's looks very saucy. After cooking though, it is certain that looks can be deceiving. After plating and tasting, neither plate was bad, but I found that each was the opposite of what I expected. While Brimmer looked saucy and Stouffer's looked cheesy, the taste told the real story. The Brimmer lasagna was very dry but has a strong cheese flavor, while the Stouffer's was practically leaking sauce and almost no cheese flavor at all. After having a little bit of both, I actually combined the two. The meaty, saucy Stouffer's and the cheesy Brimmers, while still nowhere as good as even bad homemade, was not bad at all. If you like Stouffer's, give Brimmer a try. Use the extra $125 you just saved to pick up a jar of Reggiano spaghetti sauce. You're welcome. I am a self-professed junk food junkie. Always have been. Salty snacks are at once my salvation and my kryptonite. Cheetos, Doritos, Fritos. If it ends in toes, I probably have a half-empty bag in my home somewhere. Potato chips are a love of mine as well. Light, crispy, airy, salty, craveable, dippable. You get the idea. Good chips are fantastic, and bad chips are, hard to come by. Even bad chips are okay chips. Aldi brand chips fall under the name Clancy's, which offers a wide variety of flavors and snacks, from cheese curls and popcorn to kettle chips and pita chips to pretzel thins and Pringles knockoffs. As a side note, the Clancy's stacked chips called Stackers are not comparable to the classic snack featuring the illustrious Julius Pringle. I find them to have a flavor I can only describe as musty. The texture was that of a Pringles chip that had been soaked in salty water, dried with a blow dryer, and packed in a tennis ball can. But I digress. The top-selling chip in America is Lay's Original, which is of course no surprise. Clancy's Original, while not living up completely to the mega brand, are quite acceptable. They're not overly greasy, not too thick, and salted well. A great facsimile. The Clancy's Wavy chips are also an excellent representation of wavy Lay's. Great alone or with dip. They're crunchy, salty, and addictive, which is everything a good chip should always be. It's milk. It's from a cow. It's milk from a cow. Moo. Laundry detergent, indeed all types of household and even personal cleansers, are subjective. Personally, I'm not a detergent snob and tend to buy whatever is on sale. That said, I don't buy anything too cheap, but Tandle from Aldi is of comparable quality to top sellers Tide and Gain. They both will get your clothes clean and smelling fresh. The only issue with eggs from Aldi is that they are one size fits all, unless of course they're not. Aldi sells only large, which is perfectly fine for most applications, but may not be suitable for baking or other types of recipes. Other than that, their eggs are perfectly, eggy. Isn't that really what an egg should be? Creamy, crunchy, all natural and organic are some of the varieties of Aldi's Peanut Delight peanut butter. I am a peanut butter lover and have purchased this brand many times. The national #1 seller is the all-powerful Jif, which I must admit is also my favorite. Peanut Delight is not quite up to Jif standards, as it is neither as sweet nor as creamy. I would, however, liken it more to Peter Pan peanut butter. A little drier, a slightly grainier texture, and more of a peanut flavor. If you like Peter Pan, you'll like Aldi, and you'll spend almost 40% less per jar. Don't forget also that Aldi's has a great brand of jelly. So why not go back to elementary school and have yourself a good old PB&J? Another surprise for me was the nation's #2 selling grocery item is deli meat, with the most popular being turkey. I was waiting for the almighty pork to win out, but turkey takes the title. Who doesn't love a big old sandwich just like Dagwood? Unlike most large grocery stores, Aldi's does not have a deli department with fresh meats, cheeses, and salads. Everything is prepackaged, and there is little quality difference between the nation's top brand of Hillshire Farms and Aldi's Lunchmate. Aldi brands also have recently introduced a new fresh sliced deli meat option, which is very, very good. Make Dagwood proud. Go for it. What have you got to lose? Bread. And the only thing you have, our preferred filling delivery system since 1762. Although bread has been around since the beginning of fire, the invention of the sandwich is commonly attributed to John Montague, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. Seems he was in the midst of a hot card game and didn't want to stop for a meal. He told his servant to bring him meat between two pieces of bread so he could eat without putting his cards down. I know the feeling. When the Uno game gets hot, it's hard to think about dinner. Bread is ever present in most American homes, and just about every culture, religion, and race has a traditional bread recipe. From matzah to hush puppies to Indian fry bread to good old Wonder Bread. Private label or local brands make up over 60% of national bread sales, with Nature's Own multigrain and whole wheat being the top-selling brand label. I have tried every type of bread from Aldi's Love and Fresh brand, and in a blind taste test, I wouldn't know the difference, except that I'd be blindfolded and probably bite my finger off. So there you have it. With a few exceptions, Aldi is a winner in my book. There are only a handful of items that are unavailable or that don't stack up to the more expensive brands. And by switching to Aldi from a leading grocery chain, I saved 35 to 45% on my total grocery bill. Take it from the Discount Diva. Remember, you can save money, you can save time, but stick with me and learn how to do both.